There's a word. You swear, you know this word. You can feel its exact shape sitting just behind your eyes, the first letter being right there. The meaning is perfectly clear, even though the sound refuses to show up. But you can't get yourself to say it. So here's the first question, and it's stranger than it sounds. If you truly forgot this word, why can you feel like it's still there? Something is just wrong with the way you picture forgetting. You imagine memory as a drawer. Either the object is in the drawer or the drawer is empty. Either you know it or you don't. But that missing word proves the drawer is not empty. You can visualize its length. You can match the first letter. You can almost hum the rhythm of it. You are standing directly on top of a memory you quote-unquote lost. This exact feeling is so universal that nearly every language on Earth has its own phrase for it. The tip of the tongue. And that is the secret the whole thing revolves around. Forgetting isn't deleting. When a memory disappears, it's not wiped from your brain. It just gets misplaced. The word never left. You just lost the directions back to it. So if it never left, how can we prove it's still hiding in there? The proof is something you have experienced 100 times over without ever noticing. Take something you learned many years ago and completely forgot. It could be a language from school or a song from your childhood you barely remember. Now try to learn it again. It comes back way faster than it did when you first learned it. Relearning a forgotten thing takes a fraction of the effort of learning something brand new. That gap, that hidden discount in time and effort, is the fingerprint of a memory that was, in fact, never erased. The memory survives. Which leads us straight into the next mystery. If it's still inside you, why can't you just reach and grab it whenever you want? There is a difference. There is a gap between a memory being available and a memory being accessible. Available means it still exists. Accessible means you can reach it right now. Almost everything you have ever learned is always available to you. The trouble is access. And access runs on one thing: cues. A memory is never stored by itself. It comes wrapped in everything that surrounded it when it was made. The smell in the air, the song in the background, the mood you were in, the room you were standing in. Every one of those details becomes a thread. Pull on the right one, and the entire memory unwinds. It's why a single passing scent can throw you 20 years into the past more than any photograph could ever. You didn't lose the memory, you lost the key. And here's the unsettling part. You can prove that with a test you've run into, probably even today. You stand up, you walk into the kitchen, but the minute you arrive, you have no idea why you came. The reason isn't gone. Walk back into the room you started in. The reason comes right back, like it had been hiding behind the door the entire time. That is not a glitch. That is the rule working exactly as built. The thought was tied to the room where you first had it. The moment you traveled to a new room, you walked away from every cue you were holding on to. The doorway didn't break your memory. It just took away the key. So if a single room can lock a memory away, scaled up, how far can the right place take you? Further than you would ever believe. Far enough to make you wonder how much of what you've forgotten is still sitting inside your head right now. Picture a group of deep-sea divers learning word lists. They learned the lists either underwater or on land before being tested in both environments. The result is almost hard to believe. The divers remember far more when they are tested in the exact place in which they learned. Words learned underwater come flooding back underwater. Words learned on land return on land. But move them to the wrong setting, and as much as 40% of what they remember simply disappears, only coming back the moment they return to where they started. Nothing was forgotten. Knowledge didn't weaken, it became unreachable, because the place itself had silently become part of the key. Lose the place, lose the access, find it again, and the whole memory pours back. But places aren't the only things that become part of a memory. Sometimes the strongest cue isn't where you were, it's who you were. Think about how this works. The state you're in when a memory forms gets meshed into the memory itself. This is why breakups feel impossible to escape. One sad thought doesn't return one memory. It returns every memory connected to it. Match it, find the memory, lose it, and the memory slips back into the dark. Which means forgetting is just a key gone missing. And that raises a question that should genuinely bother you. If forgetting is this stressful, why would a brain ever be built to do it on purpose? Here is the twist. Forgetting isn't your memory failing. It's your memory's form of protection. A memory can be incredibly strong and completely inaccessible at the same time. Every memory carries two separate strengths, one that keeps it stored and another that determines whether you can actually find it. And those two don't move together. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine every memory you've ever made stayed equally easy to grab. Every old phone number, every face in every crowd you have ever walked through, all of it screaming for your attention at the same time. Your mind would be a bunch of noise, and you would never find anything in it, so your brain turns the volume down on what you don't need right now, without throwing it away. That is forgetting, not a hole, a filter. The information waits in the dark, silent, until something makes it worth pulling back into the light. And that goes on to explain the strangest experience of all. The reason why the answer you searched for all evening shows up the second you finally stop looking. You know that feeling. You spend an hour desperately searching for a name. You give up. You go to bed. And then, out of nowhere, while you're thinking about something completely different, it appears, perfect and obvious. You didn't try harder. You tried less. All evening you were at the wrong door, forcing it, and the force itself was keeping the door closed. The moment you let go, your mind wandered, went to the right key by accident, and the door opened on its own. Stop tugging. Let your attention drift around the memory instead of straight at it, and the right key may finally find the lock. Because sometimes the harder you try to remember, the more you become the thing standing in your own way, except there is a catch, an unsettling one. The memory you finally pull back up is not always the one you put in. You think of remembering as a replay. It isn't. Remembering something is rebuilding it from scattered pieces. Your brain grabs the pieces it still has, remakes the scene, and quietly fills the gaps with whatever's possible, whatever fits, whatever you expect to have there. Then it stores that rebuilt version as the new original, which means a memory can be changed by remembering it. Feed a person the right few words and they will recall with total confidence things that never happened to them at all. Clear scenes down to the smallest detail, built out of nothing but suggestions, because that is simply how memory works. So every time you revisit your favorite moments, you are quietly painting over them. The childhood birthday, the first hand you ever held, the face of someone you've lost. Each visit, a little less of the real event, a little more of the story you've told about it. You are not pulling an old painting off a shelf and looking at it again. You are repainting it from memory, using the last version you painted as the template for the next. And yet, after all of that, the word still comes back. The thing you swore had disappeared was sitting in the dark the entire time, waiting for one key to turn. Forgetting was never an ending. It was a closed door, never a locked one. So the next time a word sits stuck on the tip of your tongue, refusing to come, don't panic that it's gone. It isn't gone. You've only lost the key, and keys have a way of turning up when you stop looking for them.